welcome to Gravitas Plus. I'm Priyanka Sharma. Today I come to you with some questions. Is a mega natural calamity waiting to happen? A pharaonic natural disaster that could kill millions of us? These questions crop up courtesy the events of 2023 so far. It's hard to ignore that this year has been slightly unusual. From record-breaking temperatures, to extreme downpours, to lethal floods, to deadly tremors. We've seen it all this year. That too on a massive scale. In February this year, there was a 7.8 magnitude earthquake in Turkey. Over 59,000 people died. I repeat, 59,000. In March, a 6.8 magnitude quake struck Ecuador. It killed 18 people. The same month, a 6.5 magnitude quake struck Afghanistan. It claimed the lives of 21 people. And in September, a 6.8 magnitude earthquake struck Morocco. The death count, 2,960 people. These were earthquakes. 2023 also witnessed an unusual tropical cyclone activity. Most of them were Category 5 storms, the most devastating type of cyclones. Since 1980, there have been an average of 4 such storms per year. However, this year there were 5 such storms, that too in the first 5 months. Cyclone Freddy in February, Cyclone Kevin in February, Cyclone Ilsa in April, Cyclone Mocha in May, and Cyclone Mawar in May. All these cyclones broke records when it comes to wind speed or the scale of damage caused. If we speak of Cyclone Freddy, it ravaged 4 African countries for over a month, between February 6th and March 15th. The countries in question were Malawi, Mozambique, Madagascar, and Zimbabwe. A total of 1,000 people died in these countries due to the cyclone. 500,000 others were displaced. Then, in the middle of May, Cyclone Mocha rocked Myanmar's Rakhine state. It proved to be one of the strongest cyclones to hit the region. It killed an estimated 145 people, sweeping away infrastructure, homes, schools, businesses. According to the UN, the cyclone impacted 800,000 people overall. Next, we have floods. There were an unusual number of floods too this year. The most devastating one was in Libya. It was triggered by Storm Daniel, which caused catastrophic rainfall, wiping out entire neighborhoods and sweeping homes into the ocean. More than 11,000 people died in the floods. 10,000 others are still missing. A month before this, in August of 2023, there were floods in China. Over 82 people died. 82,000 people were displaced. 59,000 houses collapsed and 147,000 homes were damaged. Then we have South Sudan. This year it has experienced an unprecedented phenomenon. The country saw its 4th year of historic flooding. It impacted around 1 million people, sinking around 47,700 kilometers square of land. For the sake of perspective, this is 20 times the size of London. It all remains underwater. In India, meanwhile, there have been floods all around the year. Together, they claim the lives of over 186 people. It's October now, and the floods haven't stopped. This week, there were flash floods in Sikkim. The deluge submerged vast swathes of land, washed away roads and bridges, triggered catastrophic landslides, and collapsed countless homes. The trigger for these floods was a cloudburst, although many suspect that it could have been due to a glacial lake outburst flooding. In 2023, the temperatures too broke several records. In fact, reports say that the year 2023 is on track to be the hottest year in human history. Just look at some recent developments. Look at this graph now. It shows you the number of deaths from disasters in the last 6 years. The term disasters here includes all geophysical, meteorological and climate events like earthquakes, volcanic activity, landslides, drought, wildfires, storms and flooding. In 2018, there were over 11,000 deaths due to disasters globally. In 2019, the figure again stood around 11,000. In 2020, it climbed to over 15,000. In 2021, over 10,000. In 2022, over 76,000 people died due to disasters globally. And as of October this year, there have been more than 62,000 deaths. 62,000 deaths, not because of a virus, not because of a conflict. These deaths were caused by nature. How do we view this? What is really happening? Why are we experiencing such extreme weather events and calamities? Well, most people blame climate change, and they're right, at least to a point. Human-caused global warming is indeed playing a big role. That said, there are 3 additional natural factors that are driving up global temperatures and fueling natural disasters. These factors are 1. El Nino. 2. Solar fluctuations. 3. A massive underwater volcanic eruption. Let's now take them one at a time. Starting with El Nino, it's basically a weather phenomenon that occurs every few years, and when it does, the surface water in the tropical Pacific reverses direction and heats up. This warms up the atmosphere above, which influences temperatures and weather patterns around the globe. A strong El Nino last occurred in 2016. 6 years later, the world is witnessing another El Nino. Reason number 2, solar fluctuations. You see, the sun may seem to shine at a constant rate, but it is at the end of the day a seething, churning ball of plasma, whose radiating energy changes over many different timescales. Why am I telling you this? Because the sun is slowly heating up, so much so that in 500 million years it could boil away the Earth's oceans. Now that is a long-term threat, way longer than any of our lifetimes. If we speak of the immediate term, the sun's magnetic field goes through a cycle every 11 years. It completely flips, changing the sun's magnetic fields and increasing activity on its surface. This leads to giant eruptions on the sun, such as solar flares and Mars ejections. These eruptions send powerful bursts of energy into space, altering weather conditions on Earth. The current solar cycle began in 2014 and will end in 2025. So right now, this cycle is at its peak. And this is resulting in unusual weather patterns, incessant rain, frequent storms, and incessant heat. Let me now talk about reason number 3. This one's important. Volcanic eruptions. They can significantly impact global climate. In an unusual twist, the largest volcanic eruption of the 21st century happened in 2022. I'm talking about the Hunga Tonga underwater volcanic eruption. It happened in January last year. It injected volcanic gases and aerosol into the ocean. Plus, there was a huge amount of molten magma which exploded underwater, vaporizing a huge volume of ocean water. The warming impact of this explosion is expected to last for 5 years. It could lead to more underwater earthquakes, more tsunamis, and more floods. So now you know what's happening and why it's happening. The big question is, where will the next mega disaster happen? Well, scientists say the world will face around 560 disasters every year until 2030. This figure is 5 times higher than the previous 3 decades, but which among them will be the deadliest? And where will it unfold? Well, it could be anywhere. There are a host of places that have disasters brewing within. Like the Yellowstone National Park, it sits on top of a supervolcano that is at least 44 miles wide. This volcano is still active. Its last big eruption was 630,000 years ago. If it explodes again, the eruption will be nothing like humanity has ever seen. It could trigger an ultra catastrophe where 10% of the global population dies. Next, you have the Lake Toba supervolcano, aka the Forgotten Volcano. It's a volcanic lake that sits atop a huge crater. If this volcano erupts, the world's population could dramatically shrink. The next big tragedy could be a hurricane. The frequency of these monster storms is anyway increasing. They used to be a once-in-a-while phenomenon. They now occur almost every year. Scientists say there could be a major Category 5 hurricane in the next 4 months. There's also a possibility of the big one, a term used to describe a colossal earthquake, an earthquake with a magnitude of 8 or larger. A 2019 report said that California's fault lines are capable of such an earthquake. Some scientists even say that this earthquake could happen this decade. Finally, this may sound alarmist. You may say I'm exaggerating, but the Earth could very well get hit by an asteroid, one that could have similar devastating impact to the extinction of dinosaurs. In fact, one such asteroid is on its way, the asteroid 1997 XF11. In 2028, it will come extremely close to our planet, but will miss the planet. That said, if something were to change, and if it did hit Earth, you would basically have a mile-wide asteroid striking the planet's surface, with an energy roughly equal to a 1 million megaton bomb. Goes without saying that an asteroid like this would wipe out most of the life on the planet, and there's frankly nothing much that we can do about it.